Greetings. Hey guys, how's it going? Mr. 430, Mr. Brett Lights. I just had it in my head to do some research, so I just thought I might as well share it with some of you guys. Give me 1 sec. I'm just going to share this stream to a couple Telegram rooms. Get a couple more people on. But anyway, I want to go over some stuff. Some just farming options on the Pulse chain. We'll look past fucks and 2fucks at some of the other viable options. Not financial advice. I'm strictly doing research. You can follow along if you're interested, but please do your own research, bring your own beer, etc. So let's share the screen here, and we will find some research topics. If you guys have anything in the chat you want to talk about, hit me up. Okay. So we're going to look at the Hocus Pocus farming aggregator. I believe they call it the Farming Wizard, which is a cool tool that I can share now, that will give you a breakdown of a lot of the farms on the Pulse chain. It doesn't do the more complicated ones like fucks and 2fucks because they're pulling from a different source. But what it does do is share the data on all the sushi swap forks, which includes PulseX, 9inch, and a couple others. I'm just going to reformat. There we go. So let's get into this. Take a look at what they got. I think it's pretty cool. I think we want to, so we're at hocuspocus.finance. We're going to go to the app. There we go. Okay, and then at the top center here, we got Farming Wizard. That's where we want to go. So this is just a big list of all the sushi swap forks on the Pulse chain, right? So including PulseX, 9inch, Function Island, and a bunch of others that I don't know much about. So the Hocus Pocus guys made this, but they're not actually running any of the farms that you see. So they're giving you a tool to find them. You can actually do deposits and stuff on here, but you can also follow it back to the main pages. But I find it to be a good research tool. So let's take a look at the options we have at the top here. So we can search for specific things. And we can sort it in specific ways. I like to sort out how it is now by APR, right? So that's like what your return on investment will be, annual percentage rate. So that's, an interesting thing to look at. But we're going to look at some of the smaller details they provide here too. But in no way will it be all of the details on any of these farms, right? So you'll want to do more research, but it gives you enough that you can have an idea what they're doing. So just right off the top, okay, Easy Swap, which I'm vaguely aware of, but I don't know much about. So they're offering this farm, which says it's the top for APR right now, 416%. And it tells you the 1.13% daily. Okay, sounds pretty good, but you have to look at the small print here. So we have deposit and withdraw fees. Okay, so this 2.5 and 0. So it's 2.5% to deposit and 0% to withdraw. Right. So right off the bat, you're losing 2.5%. So that's like, okay, that's kind of concerning. If you're going to go in and out really quickly, obviously, like in a day, obviously you'll be down. Now, by this ratio, you would be up in 3 days if you were in this farm. However, there's more information here we have to look at. So if we look down lower, we can see total liquidity. Now, that indicates how much money has been deposited in this pool. So when we look at these numbers, and we can see that it says it's paying 416%, but there's only $146. We'll just, for easier math, we'll say $150 in the pool. If I put in another $150, it will cut the APR in half, right? So immediately I'm going from 416 to 208% if I put in $150, right? And then if it doubles again, right? So it goes from $300 in the pool to $600 in the pool. Well, then you can divide that in half again, right? So then you're at 104% in the pool. If it goes from $600 to $1,200, then you're at 52% APR that the pool pays, right? So, and then your 2.5% that you're paying right up front, well, that seems like it costs a little bit more. So that's part of the nature of all these farms, is that they get diluted and the APR will reduce, usually somewhat proportionally, when you put more money in. So if we look at the next one over, which is again with the Easy Swap guys, there's only $12 in this pool, right? So if I put in $120, well, it's going to go down by like 10 times. It's going to be paying like 35% versus the 347% it says it's paying right now. Now this one has 0 and 0, so maybe you'd worry less. There's always contract risk with stuff like this. Like, you are depositing an LP token. In this case, I would imagine it's probably a PulseX LP token into these pools. And when I say LP token, that is just the token that is created when you add, and this is like V2 liquidity, so it's 50-50. So you add 2 coins into a pool, it gives you back a token that represents those coins. And that's what the LP token is. And that's what you're adding into here when you stake. Now, the LP token is not always visible in your wallet. Sometimes you'd have to add that contract address. But these protocols can see it when you go to their front ends. The front end can see that you have that token when you connect your wallet, and then you're able to deposit and withdraw it from their pool, ideally. So, but there is contract risk. You are putting your money somewhere else, right? So keep that in mind. So let's scroll through a little bit more, see what we got. So we got Easy Swap. They're taking some of the top spots here, but again, insanely low liquidity. Okay, so then I have no idea what this hyoscyamine is, or even what that means, but that is interesting. At 305%, there's $2,000 in there. Okay, so that means that if I put $200 in, it's only going to go down by 10% ish, right? So that's, like, okay, this seems a little more sustainable. Here's another metric that they put in here, and I haven't done much research on this, but I think I understand it. 50% of HYSC emissions go to this pool. So I think that means for this protocol, HYSC is probably their native staking coin that they're paying out in. And 50% of all the emissions for that coin go to this pool. That, I think that probably tracks, because I can see much smaller numbers with the Easy Swap over here, 17.5, 1.8%. So that's okay. So this one's a little more robust. Now, but look at this. Deposit and withdrawal fee, 36.9%. So when you think about, like, where does the money come from so it can pay out this 305% APR? Well, the answer is you are where the money comes from, so it can pay out this 305% APR, because you're paying 37% up front in this case. And then if you withdraw too quickly, like, because if you pulled out and went back in, you pay the 37% again. If the pool got diluted and then was no longer paying 305%, like, it could go down to, if 10 times as many people went into this pool and there's like 20 grand, then it would go down to paying like 30%, right? So now you paid 37% to make 30%. Be like, oh, when's that going to pay off? Well, by the math, and which is changing, by the minute, effectively, it would take more than a year, right? So it's like, okay, that's less attractive. And you go in first and you get your money later. It's not like it pays you this 305% the moment you get into that pool. That's the average that it's paying you over a year based on the math today. But every person that enters after you dilutes that a bit, so it's consideration. Okay, next up, Atro Farm. I think this might be one of Donnie's from DGen's protocols, but I am not 100%. It is paying in Trofa tokens, which again I'm not familiar with. 0.7%, 241%. Okay, $10 in the pool. Okay, so it's like, yeah, like, this is, you're gonna dilute it. You can't move real money into these things and expect to get money back if it's that size of pool and those are the emission rates, right? So it's like, for mini fart, like, you're moving $5 around, which you can totally do on the Pulse chain, right? So, like, throw $5 in here if you were interested. Not financial advice, but if you wanted to, well, that's like not a terrible risk. It's paying the charge is 0 and 0 on the front end, and like, yeah, you might end up. Of course, the 5% would reduce the yield by 25%. Sorry, $5 would reduce the yield by 25% on that pool, but it would still be over 100%. Maybe that's not a bad place to put $5. But I'm looking for bigger usually. I'm typically moving around more than $5, maybe even $12 or $13. So let's keep snooping over here. Okay, PLS farm, $1,300. Okay, $12, $11, $63, $1,500. So, and again, some of these have percentages on the deposit. So 2%, 1% from the kilobyte farming protocol. Okay. And serious guys, like do research on these before you enter into them. The Pulse Latina project that rugged many people was the same kind of farm as these. I think they had some like fake audits and crap like that. Like it was like definitively meant to deceive you. And I would hope that most of these or none of these are, but I can't say for sure. So yeah, definitively do research. Okay, Function Island, Donnie from DGen. I think that's one of his. I feel a little bit better about this as far as safety. Also, it has $1,500 in it, so it's not like it's not nothing. It does charge you the 2% up front, so maybe that's just the price to do it. But like, yeah, to move $50 in there and pay $1 to move your $50 in, and then have a chance to make decent APR without it cutting in half because you dropped $50 in. That seems acceptable to me. But let's see if we can aggregate this more. What other features do I have? Custom, active. Okay, here we go. I can sort by TVL. Let's do that instead. Okay. Okay, $0. Okay, looks like I'm sorting from top to bottom. Let's check on the very bottom. Okay, so maybe this feature is not working because I am not seeing high TVL on these ones either. Here we go. Okay, so we had 9-inch in here. So here's a pool, APR 120%. There's $238,000 in the pool. This pool is paying out 11.4% of BBC emissions, right? So this is a sustainable farming thing. Like you could throw $2,000 or $10,000 into this pool, and still the APR would stay over 120%. So that's like, okay, this is a more sustainable feature for bigger money, where some of the other ones might have been good for like $50, $100, and that's cool. But here, yeah, you can move that in, but there's a downside here. Now, the upside is you're going to pay in BBC tokens, which is super liquid, has its own staking options, and is generally a viable thing. And you're dealing with 9-inch, which I'd say is proven to be one of the more reputable farming options on the Pulse chain. Downside of this pair, in my opinion, at this time, is that it's USDC paired with 9-inch, and this will be 50-50. And that means if the 9-inch token doubles in price, you don't double your bag if you're in this pool. You get about 25% more. The other 25% more moves into USDC, which is $1 every day, all day. So that's a potential downside. So let's play with some of these buttons here and see if we can get some information. Here's some OG, some Tang Gang stuff here from Rentomania, which is another one that I'm not super familiar with. Paying 71%. It's got $3,000 in the pool. So yeah, you can move a couple hundred in there without it dropping to 2% APR. But again, you can't move 10,000 into that pool. 9-inch is going to have more good ones here. 45%, 67%, 112%. And again, look at these number guys. $700,000, $420,000. Like these are acceptable farming things as far as you can go into the pool with a decent amount of money. But again, the ones that are paying the big bucks are all these against the stable coin, right? So you're in permanent loss unless you are trying to get out of some of your crypto into stable coins. You're going to suffer big impermanent loss. So maybe, and this is just, this is off the top of my head, but like if 9-inch is going to go up 100% in the next 6 months, well, then you're going to suffer 50% impermanent loss, which you'd put against, say over the next year, if they went up by 100%, which would be way low, you would put that 50% impermanent loss against the 112% it's paying you here, and it would only effectively pay you 52% or something to that in that range. So it becomes less exciting. So I think stay away from these stablecoin ones unless they're paying insanely high APR right now, because Pulse Chain is greatly down compared to its all-time highs and to where it probably should be with Richard, with the cases coming up with the SEC, etc. We could see much more interesting numbers, and everything will probably go up, especially the big things that are paired against Pulse, like 9inch, 2Fox, Fox, BBC, all those farming tokens, Inc., Pulse X, like they're gonna get pulled up together. So let's look at another feature of this tool, in that I believe we can select certain farms. So here, okay, so we can just look at 9inch. Bang, there we go. Okay, and let's look at just 9inch by APR. So here we can see some real numbers, and you can sort this in a meaningful way. Okay, so 9inch, let's find the best pool that does not include a stable coin. And by APR, it looks like it's this Nope pool right here. So we have Nope, which is down on price a bit, paired against 9inch, that is down on price a bit. So I think there's a likelihood these things will move up together. They're sharing liquidity, which is what these liquidity farms are. So there's 50% Nope token from the no permissions community paired against 50% 9inch. So by very nature of this pool existing, these things will pull themselves up together, but also because there's there's some sort of team relationships there between those communities, and there's a lot of crossover in those communities. They'll likely would pull themselves up together anyway. Like if a good thing happens to one, it probably has some relation to the other. So this makes this, in my opinion, one of the better pools for minimal and permanent loss. You can see here it's getting 1.3% of the BBC emissions, 70% APR. It's $45,000 in the pool, which means if you put in another 45, then it's going to only pay 35%. So you can't put that much in. But you could roll $5,000 in here and it would still look pretty good. It's not bad. Okay, next over, 9inch to Pulse. And there's $421,000 in there. It's getting 11% of the BBC emissions and change. So you could move $50,000 into that pool and still do okay. 67%. And then this is an interesting one. I like this one. 9inch to 9inch. Okay. Now, this is 9inch on Pulse Chain. This is 9inch on Ethereum, right? Because 9inch is has the same token on both sides, but it's not a bridge token. They're two separate tokens, but they represent the same function on both sides. So when you pair these together, I think they look pretty good. I believe the 9inch on Ethereum has gone down a lot more than the 9inch on Pulse Chain. Which I think is natural since the focus seems to be Pulse Chain, but it's had enough time to settle, I think, on both sides, in my opinion, not financial advice. So, there's likely minimal and permanent loss here. And if one goes up by 50%, the other one will probably go up too. Perhaps not the same, like one's always going to be worth more than the other, but it's not a terrible concept. Okay, so we got a range here. We're at 70%, okay, for 9inch. Let's check out some other ones instead and see what we got. So take 9inch off. Let's add Pulse X. Okay, so Pulse X, the deck's made by Richard Hart and his team. We all trust it just fine, but what is it going to pay us? Okay, so top pools, 52% against USDT to Pulse, right? So lots of impermanent loss, not as good a deal as the 9inch page. And I know this isn't a popular sentiment right now, but I'm saying I'm looking at this, I can see that 9inch is paying more than Pulse X. Now you're paying the Inc token here, which is very, very liquid, arguably more liquid than anything on 9inch. But you could, in theory, be farming on 9inch, selling the BBC tokens and buying Inc token if that's what you're trying to do. If you actually wanted the biggest effect, that's would make the most sense, unless you have so much money in these farms, like $1 million, where the slippage would be too great somehow. But I imagine some sort of moderation in between the two would likely make the most sense. But again, we're going to skip these first 1, 2, 3 with stable coins because impermanent loss. And then what happens? Then the number goes way down. So we have Pulse against ETH. I think this is good. They're going to go up. They're going to go up and down against each other. But there won't be as much impermanent loss as against a stable coin. But there's going to be days where one's proportionately worth way more than the other, or goes up or down way more than the other. So it's not going to be as good as some of these other things. Ink to pulse, probably less impermanent loss some days, but some days it'll be insane. Pulse X to ink, again, the one with the least impermanent loss is probably this Pulse X to pulse right here, but it only pays 11%. So, and there's $31 million in it. And that's why it only pays 11%. And that's why there's $31 million in it, is because people know, like hexagons know, and they're smart, that this pool has the least impermanent loss. So it's like, it's only 11%. It's a safe 11%. It's better than doing nothing a lot of the time, as long as you don't add and remove from this pool all the time. Because like, yeah, you pull it on the wrong day and you're going to be, your impermanent loss becomes permanent. That's why they call it impermanent loss. So a consideration here. But honestly, guys, like, to me, this is not winning compared to the other options on the chain. Let us check out one more, and then I'm going to take a look at the chat. If you guys have questions, go ahead. Okay, so we did Pulse X. We did, yeah, let's add them in together. It looks like I have this function. Okay, that's nice. Let's add the ones that I kind of recognize, I have some confidence in. Spark Swap. Okay, yeah, we're going to get Spark Swap in there. I believe that team, who's built on other chains previous to the Pulse chain, is reliable. Okay, the Function Island guys, I'm going to add them in there because I'm familiar. I don't think they have as long of a track record as some of these other things, but they're there. Okay, and there's Spark Swap. And okay, I think those will probably be the bigger ones that can take more than $500. So we're going to look at those for now. Okay, we are sorted by APR. So we have, okay, first Function Island. Okay, so they got 177% against DAI. So we're going to skip that. Okay, iBond, which I'm not familiar with, against their farm token. 2% fee up front. That's a concern. Only $612. That's not gonna tickle my fancy today. It's a little more interesting here. Okay, Island versus Farm. It's like two of their native tokens from the same community. They're probably gonna be connected in a lot of ways. So that's a little more interesting. Only $1,800 in there, 2% up front. Okay, so then stable 9-inch, stable. Then let's find something with volume. Okay, Pulse to Farm token, 2% up front. 3,800. 9-inch. 9-inch is winning overall for going big, right? Without a fee up front in these farms. Now, we haven't touched Fux or 2 Fux, and I'll look at that before we go. That'll be the comparison. But yeah, this note pool, 9-inch to Pulse, 9-inch to 9-inch in the 60 to 70% range seems to be the win for if you want to put in like more than $2,000 or $3,000. For less, like if you're moving around 50 or $100, some of these Function Island farms look pretty attractive right now. And like, that's the kind of thing you can do on the Pulse chain because it costs you 10 cents per transaction. So yeah, why not throw $50 in here and see what happens? Spark Swap, 61%. Okay, they're in range, $252,000. Not as good as 9-inch, but not terrible. And that is Spark, their native token, versus Pulse. So yeah, likely there'll be some impermanent loss there, but they will likely move up and down together. A 9-inch and Solid X, $66,000, paying 48%. Not terrible. Okay. Yeah, these are decent options. But once again, this is farming. There's you put 2 tokens up, and one could go up or down faster than the other. It's not single-sided staking, even though you may be staking a single LP token, but the value of that can change wildly throughout the course of a day. Let's take a look at the chat, see if you guys have any questions here. Oh, we got a bunch of people. Okay, bright lights, Mr. Yabs. Good night, Mr. Yabs. We will talk to you tomorrow. Oh, Crispy's still awake. Hey, Crispy. Not going to teach most of you guys anything. Oh, there's Mr. Sloth. Okay, and Donnie. Killbyte Farm by Kairos, same guy behind Impulse Finance and Mine Shafts on PLS. Okay, I'm not familiar with Mine Shafts, but I am familiar with Impulse Finance. They've been around for a while. They were listed as projects fairly early on in the life of the Pulse chain. And yeah, they have, they did have some options. So maybe we'll take another look at them. Okay. And fellow Canadian, Chris, good to see you, Chris. Cool. Thanks for showing up, guys. Okay. So now that we have these as our baseline, Okay, maybe we should take a quick look. Let's take a quick look at Impulse because Donnie indicated who they were. Let's find them. Impulse. Oops. Let's see. What do you say, Donnie? Kilobyte. Okay, here it is. Let's see what Kilobyte's got. They have, decent numbers, 178%, but $63 in total liquidity. Yeah, they have no actual money in there. Yeah, their bigger pools have like $1,600. So yeah, unfortunately, like everything has to start somewhere, so that's fine. But if you put $63 in this pool, you cut this APR in half. That's what happens, and you're paying a 1% privilege fee to do so. So you have to remember that you're partly where the APR is coming from for participating, at least. So again, though, small amounts of money, hey, who knows? This one, a little more here. This is better. It's paying out 38% of their emissions they're paying to this PLS2 KB pair. And I assume that's KB is their kilobyte token, which I know nothing about. I know nothing about the tokenomics. It's paying a decent amount. And there's no fee to go in and out. So a little safer in that regards. That's cool. So let's compare to what we've seen here to what I have on 2FUX right now. We could look at FUX, but honestly, it's mostly redundant now as far as the front end goes. Like if FUX is a tool, it's the DEX. 2FUX is the yield booster for the DEX that will pay you more if you use it as your staking option. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking to make yield on these incentivized pools, then you'll end up staking your LP token here. I recommend you make it over there. Okay, so starting at the top. Okay, proof of no work has indicated that Kairos is a reputable dev on Pulse Chain. Thank you. Okay, iBond is backed with DAI, like iDAI, but different feature part. Okay, cool. Okay, so $2, we're starting with these pools that are paying out quite a bit more, but they're more complicated. It's not as easy to get into because there's, there can be up to 8 tokens in a pair, so that's a consideration. And you're also looking at yield is paid out in a different way, right? You're getting paid in 2 different tokens, the FUX token and the 2FUX token. And we can see here on the first page, I've had sort of by APR. And then the APRs will go down quite a bit. So the first pool paying 300% right now and change, but it's headed down. This projected VAPR sort of gives you the path that it's going according to how many people who have voted for that pool, which is what it's all about. So it's going down towards 125. That means over the next 7 to 10 days, it's tending towards that number. Depending how many people come in and out of the pool, that's where it's headed to if the votes don't change. Now, of course, the votes could change and all these numbers change. So, these are very dynamic things. But let's scroll a couple pages over and sort of just see where this range goes, right? So we can get into 100% range or less, right? Which are still, we're going to see some decent stuff. So we have Tetra, just 80% Tetra, 20% Pulse. The time pool is interesting. So that's the time token. KG and his team, they're getting paid 76% there. And look, it's tending up towards 98%. So that's cool. If you're into this token, it is actually time token by nature of what it does. It pays you the fees that the wallet charges on the chain. So if you hold time token in your wallet, you're getting paid Pulse to just have it there, right? And so every time somebody does a swap inside the wallet, it basically collects some of the fees for that and pays it back to the people who hold the time token. Now, is it paying anywhere between 76 and 98% APR in comparison in the Pulse token? No, right now it's not. I hope someday in the future that is reality. But right now, this would actually make more sense financially. There's some potential for permanent loss if you think time's going to go up many times versus the price of Pulse. But in an 80-20 pool, you're minimizing that risk compared to a 50-50 pool. And the 76%, chances are it's going to pay you more in the next year than you'll make just holding that time token in your wallet and getting paid in Pulse, which is a nifty feature. I just think the math is not quite there yet, maybe someday in the future. when you make a choice like this, though, with that token, because you are making a choice. Either it's in your wallet and their protocol can look and see like, okay, this person has this in their wallet. They are allotted this many Pulse tokens. If you put it into a liquidity pool, then their protocol will actually look and they'll see probably like that. Ultimately, this liquidity pool is on Fox, and it would see the protocol wallet that was holding that time token would be the one that would be qualified to claim. Of course, the one that can never actually claim, they're just lost. They'll just never, nobody would actually ever be able to claim them, because that's not how those protocol wallets are set up. Like they're hard coded into the protocol. If you send something to a protocol to like an internal wallet that's immutable, like there's no way for anybody to ever get it back almost all the time. And I'm positive that's the case here. But regardless, you'd still make more with this option. So it's kind of one of those things like, do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? And it seems like it's right that like you're owed those tokens, but just take the more money if you can. In my opinion, you'll have to make your own choice. So we got so we got to start to get into the $2 pools, $2 a day. These is qualifying for the Camel Client program right now, meaning it's paying out bonus Camel tokens. We don't have the APR sorted out for that yet, so you can't see that on here. But you are getting additional Camel tokens to be in that pool, which is for the moment a meme token. We'll see if there's any future utility. Function Island does have some liquidity farm and staking options for the Camel token. And we'll take a peek at that before we're done here today. Okay, so then we can kind of see the feeling for what we can get. You can also go in here and you can look up your favorite token, and it will pull up those tokens in the pool for you. Oops. And I'm breaking everything. Let's look up Hex. So top pool here is this one, Hex against Coast. Coast is a stable coin, right? So you're going to have some impermanent loss here if the price of Hex goes up, but it's paying loss, 277%. So maybe that offsets the impermanent loss. I believe Hex claims to pay 38% for long-term staking. So I think 277% is better, but there's definitely a consideration there. Now, one thing I want to show you guys to make sure you understand, because there is some data that we just don't have on this page. So the same way I showed you on the farming page with Hocus Pocus on the Farming Wizard, how like, okay, there's only this much money in the pool, so if you double it, the APR is going to go down by that much. That the same is true on $2. Now, the $2 protocol gives you an option to sort by total value locked. So this is how much is deposited into this pool and is inside the $2 protocol. But the real number that probably will affect the yield more is how much total liquidity is there on the Fox exchange. So to get that number, we'd have to go look on the Fox exchange. So let's just find some pool. She'll be apples, okay? Paying 36.64%. There's 180K deposited in $2, but how much is in the pool? So we can go over to Fox. Let's go to the VE Fox page to just find those pools. Okay, that pool contains the fiat token. So we're going to shortlist that. Thought it did. Oh, there it is. She'll be apples right here. So it's fiat and Hex. It's actually a nice little pair. You can see it's only paying a maximum of 8% on Fox versus $2. Okay, but we can see the pool is slightly bigger than what we see on $2. So it's $232,000 is in that pool. Of that $232,000, 180% is deposited to $2. But when the calculation is done for yield, if you're adding more into this pool, it's based on this number. So it's actually a huge pool. Like you could put in another, $10,000, and it's not going to make a huge dip in the APR. So this is, an example of sustainable farming. But we could find something. Let me find something that I know is small where you would hit that APR. Let's look at that Hex one that I showed you that was paying a ton of money. So against Coast stablecoin, get Hex. Okay, so this is the one that, where is it? Get it on. I think it was just at the top of the list, wasn't it? Let's look by APR. Get Hex. Okay, so this one's paying 277%. That's not bad. But what happens if I put $50,000 in that pool because I want, or $100,000, so I make $277,000 a year? Will that work? The answer is no. It will not work. So this is why it won't work. And we'll just give this a little refresh here. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's only $3,000 in that pool. That's why it's paying a crazy amount. So it says, yeah, 116% to 289. On $2, you're getting 277. Nobody is actually going to get this. Okay, now it's 294. It's changing by the second because it's such a small pool. So if you put in $30,000 in the pool, it's going to go down by 10 times. It'll be paying 30% APR. So it's like, it's exciting enough if you put $500 in there, and the math is probably great on that, even though you're going to suffer some impermanent loss. But if you put in 30,000, like, you're not going to be super stoked with the results if you were expecting to make 277%, because that just won't happen. So when you're looking at these, consider that in the same way that you would have considered it with on the Farming Wizard here, where we can see that some of the pools, like, oh, there's only $65 in this pool. So much bigger numbers on $2, generally speaking, but it's the same rules apply. This is how yield farming works when you're yield farming with liquidity pairs. Anyway, let's see what's going on in the chat here. Oh, Donnie says camel liquidity is getting stronger. Okay, let's get to here. Okay, and there's a pair with camel on FIDEX, right? Okay, so on FIDEX, we can earn 2 tokens with slim supply. Act as with viable liquidity. Okay. Okay, proof of no work. These $2 farms have yield that is significantly higher than most farms on the chain, and weighted pools are a great way to incentivize whales not to dump great stuff. Yeah, it's the high end of liquidity providing, that's for sure, but it's a little more complicated than a lot of things. So, you know, not everybody's going to find themselves at the $2 page participating, and there's potential. You're pressing more buttons to participate, so there's just a little bit more of a learning curve. So I think it's good that we have a family of things, and we can see that some of these other farms, they cater to different tokens in a different way, right? So maybe some more junior tokens, they start in a different place, and I think that's a viable thing. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the camel farms on FIDEX. So let's find the function island on the pulse chain. Okay. Pulse coin list is going to give me a link. Visit site. Okay. I've been here before. Okay. So for the camel token, so they have the farming section that shows the things that it wants me to connect before I can see it. Okay, so this is the farming section. This is what showed on the Farming Wizard. But for the camel token, we find that in this pools section. Maybe on the Farming Wizard, we can take a look. Okay, so camel token paying 30% when paired with the island token. And that's not bad I'm pretty happy with that actually for like a meme coin that's only been around for, you know, a couple weeks and already has a staking option. 1% fee to go in, pair with the camel token, which is their native DEX token. So like, I'm pretty happy with that for a brand new meme coin. I appreciate those guys and the utility that they provided. So that's cool. Now, where can I see the amount of money that's in this pool? Probably I could see it on DEX Screener. Let's try that. Okay, so let's see. How many camel tokens are there in the world? Oh, there we are. Looks like we are the main camel token. Camel to I die. Camel to island. This is it right here. Okay, well, the price is down. What's the price versus the island token? Down versus the island token. There it is. Okay, 30. Okay, so 0.31 island tokens per camel. So the price of camel is, 6 cents, which I don't know. For a free token, I don't think it's terrible at all. Camel token was given up for free to people who are providing liquidity in any of the pairs that contain 30%, $2 or more. Okay, so here's our volumes. Pooled camel, 628 versus 195 island tokens. Let's see, what's an island token worth? Well, we know what a camel token is worth, so that's fine. Let's do a calculation. So these are 50-50 pools. So if we calculate the value on one side, we can estimate the total value of the pool, 628.87 times 0.06378. Okay, well, there's only $80 in this pool, so it's not the biggest pool, but there is more camel liquidity other places. But yeah, we do have that. So that is farming option number one for the camel token. Well, we'll take it for now. Cool. That's about all I wanted to cover today, guys. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we'll work it out. Donnie's going to add more UI details like UST values. Okay. Right on. I like it, Donnie. Great. Okay. Well, if that's all we got in the chat, I'm going to say goodnight for tonight, and we will talk to you guys later. Signing off.